Three news stories for you. Firstly, viewers, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has spoken with Obasanjo, the mediator, to resolve Tigray conflict. Secondly, Ethiopian government has lodged an official complaint against Dr. Tedros Adhanom, head of World Health Organization. In recent days, we have seen that Dr. Tedros has released some video messages, some statements in which he said that situation was alarming, catastrophic. WHO was not being allowed to provide medical supplies to Tigray. Now, Ethiopian government has lodged a complaint against him. What does Ethiopian government want? What is mentioned in this complaint? And secondly, lastly, Dina Mufti, Ethiopian Foreign Ministry spokesperson, a few hours ago claimed that Ethiopia was coming out of international pressure. And he said there was less pressure upon Ethiopia now. He mentioned three factors which led to this development, that Ethiopia had come out of international pressure. We'll talk about that. Firstly, viewers, Olusegun Obasanjo, the mediator appointed by African Union to resolve Tigray conflict, is busy. He has spoken with Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, who released a statement a few hours ago. He said that with Obasanjo, Ethiopian conflict came under discussion, and Justin Trudeau backed Obasanjo's mediation efforts. Now, I have a question, viewers. Obasanjo has been continuing his mediation efforts for several months now. He visited the US when he started his work. He's been visiting Kenya. He talked to Justin Trudeau a few hours ago. He traveled to Mekelle. He traveled to Afar. He traveled to Amhara, to Oromia, to Addis Ababa. He's been traveling to so many places. He has met with all stakeholders. But so far, he has not come up with any solution, with any plan. At least he must share what he has seen so far. If he has not prepared a plan so far, it means he's going very slow, too slow. I mean, for months he has been traveling to Ethiopia, inside Ethiopia. So far, we don't know what he is doing. What is his plan? What do the parties want? What are their demands? So I think Obasanjo should at least share his proposal. What is he proposing? Secondly, viewers, Ethiopian government has lodged an official complaint against Dr. Tedros Adhanom. In the past few days, we have seen that Dr. Tedros has been issuing statements against humanitarian crisis in Tigray. Why did Ethiopian government lodge this complaint? It's due to some video messages, some statements, some briefings of Dr. Tedros and other WHO officials that led to this move. First, watch a few video statements of Dr. Tedros and WHO officials which led to this move. The Ethiopian government has lodged a complaint. Then we'll talk about the complaint, what is mentioned in this complaint, with which forum it has been lodged, what is Ethiopian government demanding in the complaint. Watch this video clip first.
We haven't been able to get basic insulin and diabetic treatments into Tigray since last summer. Insulin is almost stocked out. The oral anti-diabetic drugs are almost unavailable. They're running out of IV fluids, which has catastrophic, immediate health consequences for people. There are people living in a situation who have no access to the very basic life-saving interventions that we in the West would expect immediately, instantly. This is an insult to our humanity to allow a situation like this to continue.
Lack of medicine has direct impact and people are dying. But lack of food also kills. And on top of that, daily drone attacks is killing people, and people are living under constant fear. We have been trying, from WHO side, to have access to send drugs to Tigray and the other affected areas by the conflict. We were permitted to send medicines to Afar region and Amhara region, while we were not allowed to send to Tigray region. So there is a blatant measure which has been taken, that's blockade, and since especially July, no medication was allowed from WHO, none whatsoever. Nowhere in the world you would find a crisis like what you see in the northern part of Ethiopia, especially in Tigray. Nowhere in the world are we witnessing hell like in Tigray. Even in Syria, we have access during the worst of conflicts in Syria. In Yemen, the same, we have access. Humanitarian access, even in conflict, is the basis, the basics. Conflict cannot be an excuse. This thing should be resolved politically, peacefully. And the most courageous choose peace.
You see, was that WHO officials, including Dr. Tedros, have been very vocal against humanitarian disaster in Tigray. They said Tigray was like hell on the earth and it was an insult to humanity. So Ethiopian government is now proceeding against Dr. Tedros. Ethiopian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has lodged this complaint. The complaint has been lodged with Executive Board of World Health Organization based in Geneva. A written complaint has been submitted. Ethiopian government says that Dr. Tedros is interfering in Ethiopian internal matters. First charge. Second charge is that he is interfering in Ethiopia-Eritrea relations. Third charge is that he is promoting Tigray People Liberation Front's propaganda. Fourth charge is that he inflated figures regarding people affected by a situation in Tigray. He inflated figures from 1.8 million to 3.8 million. And the purpose of this figure fudging was to encourage humanitarian intervention in Tigray. Now, what does Ethiopian government want? Ethiopian government is requesting World Health Organization to launch an inquiry, to launch an investigation into the conduct of Dr. Tedros. In another development, Ethiopian representative at the UN released a statement. He says that Dr. Tedros must disassociate himself from all affairs related to Ethiopia because he is biased. That is what Ethiopian government is demanding. It wants an inquiry. The question is, will the executive board of WHO initiate this inquiry which Ethiopian government is demanding? That remains to be seen. We'll update you in coming videos. Lastly, Dina Mufti, Ethiopian former spokesperson, just a few hours ago said that Ethiopia was coming out of international pressure. He said 3 factors helped in this regard: Ethiopian diaspora, firstly. Secondly, he said that international friends and Ethiopian diplomats, they played their role, and now Ethiopian government was coming out of pressure. Yes, he is partially correct. We can say that Ethiopia is under less pressure. Ethiopian government is under less pressure now. Joe Biden and Abiy have held a phone call, very important development was the US was threatening Ethiopia with sanctions a few months ago. Now Biden and Abiy are discussing the way to find a solution to Tigray conflict. EU is silent. EU was proposing sanctions against Ethiopia. EU is silent. No doubt that pressure upon Ethiopia has decreased. But will this decreased pressure lead towards some negotiated solution to Tigray conflict, or Ethiopian government will tighten the siege of Tigray? That remains to be seen. Thank you for watching.